I wish I had a home to go back to, and the Canada that exists now is just. So I've been trying to make this video for the past couple of days. I've filmed it a couple of times, and I don't know, I just like realized today that I caught myself being like, oh, it's not like the other ones, you know, where it's like you have to be you sitting in a kitchen talking about your life and talking about all the great things about traveling in Mexico and how bad Canada is, and it just didn't feel right to me. You know, my experience here has been a lot more nuanced, and the more I think about it, you know, I just start to get emotional. And today I kind of realized that I'm homesick for a place that no longer exists. I'm homesick for the Canada of the 80s and 90s. Like, am I that person now? Am I that old? We're like, oh, I miss the good old days. Like, I guess so. But, like, in my classroom, you know, there were children from all over the world. You know, I still know how to say chodź tu in Polish because my friend's mom would be yelling that off the back porch. I still know how to say. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I know how to swear in Tagalog, and like so many, like I grew up with like so many wonderful people from around the world, and I'm like really grateful for that. But you know, here in Mexico, I get to see what it's like to see people who live with and are surrounded by their people. Like, they're all on the same team, they're all on the same tribe, they all have similar values and goals. Like, obviously there are individuals within this group, you know what I mean, obviously, but they have like a certain sense of cohesiveness, even just that like visual cohesiveness. And you know, of course it gets stared at, and stuff like that. As a foreigner, you know, I live in a place that's off the grid. Most people haven't heard of it. Most Mexicans haven't even heard of it, or they hear of it and they're like, why do you live there? And I don't want to tell them. It's a veritable paradise, like, and it's not perfect here, okay? I know that you can go from like a luxury mall, and if you turn the corner the wrong way from the luxury mall, you're in a place where children are like 1 and 2 year olds walking in the street with no clothes on, going to the bathroom on the road. Like, I've seen that too. But there's like no homeless people here. There's one resident homeless guy, and you know, people always help him. But I wish I had a home to go back to, and the Canada that exists now is just. And to be fair, like, Canada is a stolen land. Canada is a land built on unspeakable acts. And I guess, you know, that karma comes home to roost eventually. But there are so many beautiful things about Canada. And I feel bad for the people from other countries coming to live there now who are having trouble. I just wish that I had I wish I had a home to go to, a home country, you know. And I even looked into moving to the countries that my parents are from. I looked into Guyana, India, Trinidad. I do not want to go to those places, okay? I don't. And so I feel really grateful that I was born in Canada. You know, for so long, when people think about Canada, they think of safe, clean, fresh air, mountains. And I saw, I wouldn't say affordable, but I saw all of that changing, and it seemed to happen so quickly. Even just like in 2015, I was moving out from living with my boyfriend at the time, which I don't recommend for women, but in this case, it benefited me greatly, and it really kind of helped me level up in life. But I was moving out, and I'm like trying to find a place for myself, and I'm like, oh great, if I want to live in Edmonton, I can pay $1,200 to share a basement with 4 people. Like, I am not going to be working my ass off to live a mediocre life to continue working. I think you all understand that. You know what I mean? So from that point, I moved to a small town in Alberta, like the kind I used to live in occasionally when I worked in forestry, and I realized I just really love places with less people and more nature, and the prices were lower. I had this apartment with I would say 3 bedrooms above an old theater in a small town with less than 1,000 people living there. It was haunted, but I just told the ghost that I wasn't leaving, and it stopped. So there was that. I checked that place recently. I saw it was listed again, so this was 10 years later. The price has doubled. And people are just not finding each other. There's a lot of single people out there, and being single is really expensive now. I had thought by this point in my life that I would have found, another person like me who has really great values and morals, who's very responsible, but also a bit of a hard ass from, with some good street smarts from the life that they've lived, and a person who has a good heart and has purpose in life and is working towards something meaningful, and that we team up together and we do something great. But the options for men that I'm seeing out here, and when I say out here, I just mean on planet Earth. It was the same in Calgary. I don't know, similar in Montana. I like guys from Montana. They're kind of outdoorsy, old-fashioned guys, but oh good lord, a lot of people are dealing with so much generational trauma now, and they just don't, if they have no experience dealing with their own emotions, forget it. It's gonna spill out onto you, and you're just gonna deal with all types of low-level human behavior that I can't suffer. I'd rather work my butt here off day and night, because that's kind of how I deal with things sometimes, and live alone. My cat has her own bedroom with air conditioning. I ended up getting kind of tricked into adopting this street cat from Mexico. It's kind of a long story. I don't recommend getting a pet when you move to another country, but it happened, and she's here, and she's been so sweet and so good for me. What's really cute is that I really want her to sleep in my bed at night and cuddle me, but she doesn't want to. But what she does do is every night she'll sit at my door and wait until I'm situated in bed and the lights are out. She'll watch me putting me to bed, and then I go to sleep, and I close my door when I sleep, and then in the morning she's outside the door waiting for me. So one night I kind of wonder why does she wait for me? What is she doing? After I close the door, is she going to doing some bad stuff, right? Because my cat is really smart, and I see the way she watches me. This cat is studying and observing me, and so I'm what is she up to? So the other night after I went to bed, I snuck out and I went to go see what she does at night. Look at this. This is what I found. She goes and sleeps in her bed in her own bedroom, and then she gets up early in the morning so she could be there, and she's always there immediately once I start stirring. It's she sits there and listens until she can hear me, and then she'll start crying. She wants to come in and cuddle me. It's so cute. The people in Mexico are not and I'm sure doesn't come as a shock to you guys. It's not what you see or what you think. Like, I was just so, I had no idea what I was doing. When I came here, there was another Canadian woman living here who told me it was cool and like got me a place and everything else. And that's kind of why I trusted it. But now that I've been like living like a local for the past 3 years, and I've made friends here, like, it's not, the people here are not like trying to get into Canada or trying to get into the US. Like, their life here is fucking good. Like, it's not perfect, okay, obviously, but like, yeah, I found out that my friend, who's like just beautiful young woman, university educated, fashionable, working in an office job, like professional, whatever, I found out she was making $4 an hour, okay? But guess what? They own their homes here. Yes, everybody owns their damn homes. Like, it's unbelievable. They get their homes passed down by their parents, and like, if I'm living in, right now I'm living in an older woman's home. She lives downstairs. This place is huge. Like, the upper floor that I have here, it's like a house in itself. It's gigantic, and it has like backyard and deck and like everything just for me. Like, it's weird. But like, her son has a house on the same street, and her other son like lives behind us. Like, this is what happens here. So like, imagine if you made $4 an hour, but you owned your home. You didn't have to pay anything, and your electricity bill was $10 every 2 months. I don't think any of you would have a problem with that. Like, these people go on vacations, they have cars. I remember when I first came here, I was like, oh, they bet they've never seen an iPhone before. Like, I was so ignorant, so stupid. But you live and you learn. I had a sheltered life. I never had a plan to come and live in a hot country. Like, I dreamed about it when it would be cold in Calgary, but I never really truly imagined myself doing it. However, I've got the skills, I've got the money, got the contacts from all of my years on YouTube, 12 years. Like, I constantly have work. I'm so blessed. And yeah, I mean, I'm very lonely here. My birthday passed last week. A couple people wrote on my Facebook wall, thank you for that. But I mean, I don't know, I'm not like a big celebrate your birthday kind of person. There's like lots of holidays and things that I've spent alone in my life, whether I'm here or in Canada. That's the thing. It's not like I gave up my life in Canada to come here. Like, no, my life in Canada was pretty much the same. I had an office job in Canada because my YouTube income was like not enough at the time. I stopped posting for like a year or something like that. And I was trying to apply for apartments in Canada, and they were all saying no. They're like, YouTube? No. So I was like, where is somewhere I can get hired? So when someone looks at my resume, they're like, you work there? Okay, you can get the apartment. I found that place. It was the health authority in, the Canadian Health Authority. I got a job there. They're like, you work there? And they're like, okay, you got it. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And how did I get that job? Look, y'all, I have no idea. It was the first and only job I applied for as soon as I got to the city, and I got it right away. So like, I don't know, I'm lucky with jobs and finding money and opportunities and stuff like that. I always have been. Probably always will be. I even got into finance working out here in Mexico, in Canada. That's a story for another day. But I'm like, what was I talking about?
What I had been talking about was this job because, it's kind of pulled away from YouTube. I had this like office job. I was working with these we're doing office work with these nurses, young girls. We'd have fun and, we'd have dinner together at night. And it was like an easy job. I didn't have to think much. And I could just go there, zone out, make a paycheck and leave. And so I just kind of got into the pattern of that. And I started feeling, like a social connection to having this job. And then I got the cold, brutal awakening. I ended up, I knew it was a dead end job. I was burnt out from YouTube and trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And 4 years went by. And I worked there at this office job with my buddies there. And, there were some girls there who also didn't have families. And we would I invited them out to the Grey Rock Casino for the Thanksgiving buffet. And we went for drinks after. We had fun, occasionally, whatever. But so I worked there for 4 years, perfect attendance. And then there was one day where I literally I don't know what happened. I forgot that I worked that day and I just didn't show up. And nobody called me. And I didn't find out that I missed a day of work till a week later. And it was a wake up call for me. Here I was getting comfortable, feeling hey, we're kind of like a family here. We're kind of all buddies looking out for each other. Here it is. I have perfect attendance for 4 years. And then I just don't show up to work one day. They know that I live alone. They know that I have no family. It just kind of hurt my feelings, and it kind of woke me up, which I probably needed because, being an office worker is not what God created me to do. But yeah, there's no real sense of community in Canada, in workplaces or communities, really. Not like in Mexico.
Life here is very slow. It's very quiet. That's the kind of life that I wanted. I guess if you're a person who doesn't have family, it's going to be especially obvious here in Mexico. Their family is so huge to them, and they have big extended family. They always have someone for something, and they celebrate everything, which is so sweet, and they invite anyone. They're like, hey, my mom, how many times I've been told, hey, my mom's birthday next week, you want to come? And I'm like, is she gonna mind? And they're like, no, come on. So I've been to a couple of random people's birthday parties here. And it's been fun. Anyway, all these people making these videos hey guys, come live in Mexico, it's so great, blah blah blah. Let's acknowledge that the reason why people are looking for opportunities like that these days is quite sad. However, starting a new life somewhere that you've never been before, where you can level up your skills in life, you can become a completely new person. Something in your body awakens when you have not been exposed to a strong, healthy, uninterrupted stream of good sunlight for years. Something in me changed. It could just be literally the vitamin D levels, which affects huge things in your body. Huge. I saw this video on Dr. Berg website, and he was talking about how black women have more fibroids than non-black women. And he's and I was I thought about that. I'm what's the reason? He's vitamin D. And I was oh. I was that's exactly it. Because when you have melanin, okay, when you are a melanin-rich person, your skin is made to withstand the sunlight in Africa, okay? Not in Canada. You know what I mean? So, yeah. This is not the life that I imagined for myself. It's something even better. But it comes with challenges. And I also do not want to spend another rainy season here. Each rainy season, which is summertime in Mexico, has been worse than the last. It's progressively getting worse. The storms, lightning struck inside my house this past rainy season and fried my laptop. How does that happen? And the heat is getting worse, so I don't know what's going to happen. I thought about going back to Canada next summer, but I don't know if I can go back to Canada after what I've seen here. Life outside of the bubble. I hope this helps.
But it takes a long time for one to understand that there is a theory perpetrated by a certain kind of man raised in a certain kind of culture, and he's not really doing it to be vicious. He doesn't know anything else. I am, in his eyes, a second-class citizen.
That Sidney was looking for a way out. He was frightened. He resented me terribly for the demands I'd placed on him. And for Sidney, the best defense was an attack.
That's right.
Uh-huh. Not unlike a lot of men.
No,
behave.
we've seen it a million times.
In other words, when we're insecure, we lash out. Is that the...
I think so. I think particularly if a woman doesn't understand, and please forgive me, because as I say, I think he's probably outgrown that. If she doesn't understand that her place in his mind is to be the sacrificial lamb.
Right.
I'm the man, you're the woman, you're supposed to do as I say. I feel that because of the gifts that were given to me, I've had a bigger life, a more interesting life, a more fascinating life, and I'm very grateful for that.